Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's back to school. It is bowl edition of Back to School. I'm your host, Scott Steen, lead handicapper at winnersandwhiners.com. I'm joined by not only my usual co-host, Mr.
Scott Reichel, senior handicapper over winnersandwhiners.com.
I'm also joined by a guy that you probably have seen around the channel a little bit. He's a very fine handicapper in his own right, and he joins us today from Pacific time, which means he had to get up extra early. It's Loud Esmond. Loud, what's up, buddy?
Great to be loud with you.
Great to be loud with you as well.
Yes.
Before I get rolling, I will wish everyone happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. Scott, how many days we got left? 3?
No, I believe we're around halfway through.
So. Halfway through? You got anything great yet so far?
No.
Okay. Always a pleasure to chat with Scott about the holidays. They don't call him the best.
I didn't get a single free bet.
No free bets for Hanukkah?
No free bets, no.
That's some world-class bullshit right there. Well, news for you guys on the bowl front. Last week, you had to watch all the different videos to find our takes on all the different games. Well, we said no more of that because we're going to do it all in one right now. That's right. 13 bowl games, a giant extravaganza, if you will, coming right now. We're going to do the Thursday, the 22nd through Wednesday, the 28th, and including all those games. So, man, on a nice start yapping and get to it. It's the Thursday night game between it's the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl. So, you know, I'm always excited about Lockheed Martin, fine company. Air Force Baylor currently sitting as a favorite in this game of 3.5 points. It's gone down from 6.5, and your total is 43, down from 49.5. Scott, can you give us some indication about why those numbers are moving the way they are?
Well, you always have to wonder about motivation, especially when you have a team that won the conference the year prior, then barely got to 6 or 7 wins. But you're looking at the actual transfer portal updates and the bowl opt-outs. Baylor has a surprising number of players that are still on the team. They really just haven't had many opt-outs. They did get rid of their defensive coordinator, got rid of Ron Roberts, and they did lose each of their last 3 games. Lost to Kansas State, lost to TCU, and lost to Texas. Air Force, though, we know they never have opt-outs, and they always take the bowl game seriously. But you do kind of have to wonder if they'll be able to move the ball against Baylor, because Baylor should have the better athletes. For this game in itself, though, I kind of like the Baylor Bears here. I just think that in the trenches, they are definitely the better team. I know Air Force is a good team, but I think Baylor's a little bit better. They have so many running backs who they kind of rotate in and out, and I think they should have some success in the trenches. And I like Aranda as a coach, but Baylor is one of those rare, underwhelming Power 5 schools that actually seems to be motivated for this game because they really haven't had many players leave the program. I'm going to go with Baylor, and I'm going to lean to the under. I see a lot of running clock. I see a very ugly game, but I'll take Baylor to get the job done.
All right, very good. You know, Loud, this is a Baylor team that the defense kind of went on vacation a month early before the season ended as they gave up 29 or better in their last 4 games. And a couple teams, including Oklahoma and Texas, gashed them on the ground. Is that a bad thing, getting ready to play the Air Force Academy?
Well, they're the number 1 rushing attack in the entire country. So, yeah, if you can't stop the run, they're going to be a problem. And look, the service academies have a really good bowl record. I was actually thinking when I looked it up, you know, that I thought they would have a not great bowl record, but they're really strong in bowl games because the motivation factor is always there for them. They're highly disciplined. And look, this triple option attack is really hard to play against unless you see it regularly. And I don't think Baylor has seen it this season. And it's going to be hard to get the team ready to play against it. I don't know if I'm going to call for an outright win, but I think Air Force will keep this thing close.
Okay. Yeah, very good. And this Air Force offense, we've talked about it a little bit in the past on our college show. They're more of a triple option veer as opposed to like what Army runs. Almost an old derivative when they use a spinner back and the single wing. They kind of run a lot of the same options there. So it's a very unique offense that they run. And like you mentioned, they are the number 1 team in rushing. I'm probably going to I I hate to chase a 3-point line move is my only problem and be on the wrong side of it. But it's hard to bet, like you said, Lou, it's hard to bet against the Service Academy in bowl season because, like you said, they're disciplined. And as Scott mentioned, nobody's ever opting out. Nobody at the Service Academy says, you know what, I'm just not feeling it this year. I'm not, I don't think I'm going to do that. So, yeah, everybody's there. They're motivated. They're ready to play. I'm with you. I'm with you. You guys have got a feeling about the number. Has that plunged about to where it needs to be, or is there still value on one side or the other as far as the total? Scott, what do you think?
I think I'm still leaning under. Once again, I think that even though the game should be close throughout, I think Baylor finds a way to get it done. But I do think points will be at a premium in this game. Extra prep time. I am curious if you think it matters that the game's taking place in Texas. Are we expecting a massive home crowd advantage for Baylor or no?
Where is it in Texas?
It's going to be in, I believe, TCU Stadium.
Okay, so that's not a bad drive. Yeah, I mean, there could be some extra fans, but that's not all that far from Colorado Springs either. So I think both of these teams will probably.
The academies travel really well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think the academies always travel well, and with the proximity of Baylor, of Waco there to Dallas, basically. Yeah, I think there'll be fans from both teams there. That'll be pretty well represented. Let me ask you before we go to the next one, guys. Are we just doing bowl games for TV right now? Can we admit that? Is that because you look in the stands of some of these games, like the games yesterday? There's nobody there. There's absolutely no one in the stands. Now I know it'll get better as we get deeper in the bowl season, but can we admit we're just basically it's basically 2020. It's basically the COVID year. Every time there's a small bowl game.
The only thing I know is that I would have probably stayed home as well instead of sitting through a rainstorm in Boca Raton to watch Toledo play against Liberty. So I wouldn't have been at the game either.
Okay. All right. Fair. Loud, what do you think?
I'm all for every meaningless bowl game that we can get on because it's another opportunity to bet on a game.
I'm with you. I 100% agree.
I mean, we got 40 something. Who says 60? 60. Well, everybody gets a bowl game.
It's also a showcase opportunity because a lot of players who maybe you didn't see throughout the season could have a nice moment to boost their draft stock, stuff like that. So while some players are opting out to stay healthy, other players are trying to get on scouts' radars in the final game of the season.
Yeah, very true. And even if you've got one, a midweek game, if it's a standalone game, if it's the only football game on that day, like we've got on the Thursday game that we're talking about, for example, you're going to get good exposure there. So. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely an opportunity. All right, so let's take a look at the bowl games on a Friday. We'll start with the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl. Wow, that doesn't sound scary at all, Radiance Technologies. This is going to be the Houston Cougars against the Louisiana, don't call me Lafayette, Région Cajuns. Numbers on this one opened at 6.5 and a 60.5 as far as the total goes. It's now at 7 and 56. Another plunge as far as the total goes. Scott, kind of a disappointing season for the Ragin' Cajuns. They had a couple of nice wins, but they didn't have the quality of season that they are used to. They're going just 6-6. Are they going to be motivated? Who's motivated in this game?
You make an argument both teams because of right now, I don't see a single opt-out for either side. But I'm not surprised Louisiana had a step back. Napier, of course, ended up leaving for Florida. So they had to scramble for a new coach, and some of the recruits went with Napier, and that was kind of why the team struggled. Houston is a team that should, I think, on paper, win this game comfortably. The problem is Dana Holgerson's an atrocious bowl game coach, and I believe he's 2-7 ATS. So I'm kind of on the fence for this one, but I've seen Louisiana play. Woolridge is out. They're going back to Fields as their quarterback, who missed a decent amount of time in the regular season. I think I'm going to take Houston because I think they're the more talented team. I really have not been impressed by Louisiana all season long, and I think we would agree that Houston's conference is a lot better than, the conference for Louisiana, the Sun Belt. No offense to them. Do we agree on that?
Sun Belt's 3-0 as we stand right now in bowl games, by the way.
I'm happy for him. Well, I think it might be 3-1 here, but I think Tune's the much better quarterback. I think they have weapons. The defense can be hit or miss, but I don't exactly like Louisiana's offense at all. I think I'm going to go with Houston here. I'd rather take 6.5 if you could find it, because I know 7s are pretty common now, but I think Houston wins this game.
All right. Lou, you on the Houston bandwagon here as well?
Well, the loud opinion is that, yes, I agree. I'm also with Houston. I think wide receiver Nathaniel Dell, who has declared for the NFL draft, still deciding to play in this game is a big deal. He's a huge weapon for Houston. Their quarterback is playing, like was said earlier, there are no significant opt outs happening for Houston. And the Raging Cajuns are a nice team, but they're just not as talented as Houston. If Houston is focused and turns it on offense, the Cajuns just can't stay with them.
All right. Yeah, I'd really want to find a reason to fade Houston here. They limped to the finish. They failed to cover 4 of their last 5, and their defense was just atrocious, with the exception of East Carolina there.
But Louisiana's offense stinks. That's
I just don't have. I think they have underperformed all season long. I just can't get behind them right here in this spot. Yeah, I'll go with you guys. I'm gonna play the over. I think there's gonna be some points, or more aptly, I think there's gonna be some bad defense. You guys with me on the over, or you got a feeling they're different, Scott?
I think I'm going to lean to the over. You're looking at a total of 57. If Houston scored 35, I wouldn't exactly be surprised. But Houston's defense isn't good. We're just expecting them to do enough against an underwhelming defense that they'll win the game and cover. But I still think it probably goes over. Even Louisiana's defense has been hit or miss, but you're going from a Sun Belt offense to an up-tempo Holgorsen system with Tune, who might be the best quarterback they've faced all season long, or at least close to it. I think Tune should have a very good game.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this defense that gave up 37 to Tulsa and 36 to Temple. I'm like, that is not a quality defense. Lou, you riding the over express here as well?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the over. Houston, because my pick is Houston, and that means Houston has to put up a ton of points. So if Houston puts up a ton of points, their defense isn't that great.
Right.
So they're going to give up some points also. So give them 35, and we're well on our way to an over.
And one brief point, I know Holgorsen's bowl game ATS record isn't great. To come to his defense to some degree, he's had a lot of quarterbacks opt out over the years. Greer didn't play. You can go down the line. He's had a lot of quarterbacks who jumped ship before the bowl game. So he had to use a third stringer who would never play in a bowl game. And that also is a big reason why his bowl game record isn't great. This year, though, really nobody's opted out. So I actually think they might be a bit undervalued.
I like how you bring up the point of Holgorsen's terrible bowl record, and then 5 minutes later say, well, here's the deal on his bowl record.
I have to be transparent. I mean, I'm sure some people have acknowledged that he's an automatic fade in bowl games, but if you look at the quarterbacks he's had for those bowl games, it's usually not the starter.
Okay. Well, that's a fair point. Okay. Let's move on. Excited about this. It's the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl, featuring the Wake Forest Demon Deacons and my very own beloved old and black Mizzou Tigers.
Are you excited or nervous?
Neither one.
Okay.
I'm underwhelmed. I don't care. I mean,
really?
Well, they have so many guys sitting out.
That's fair. I mean, they always do. But
so yeah, I mean, I'm always excited when my team, makes a bowl. I'm always excited when they beat Arkansas to get to go to the bowl game, and I'm sure I'll be watching it. But on paper, this is a great example of a game I'd like to see in the regular season. I think it'd be a lot of fun to see these two teams go at it. But with all the opt-outs and everything, I'm just not that excited. Scott, tell us who. I'm like Johnny Gilbert. Tell us who's in, Scott. Tell us who's in, and tell us who's out for this one.
All right, so starting with Wake Forest, they are missing basically nobody. They had a starting corner in Gavin Holmes who transferred. Starting safety Mustafa missed the last 3 games because of injury, so he might not play. But Missouri is the team that's missing basically enough players for both teams. Bowl game opt-outs, defensive linemen, they have a couple starters out. McGuire's out, Coleman's out, and Manuel's out, all starters. For the transfer portal, their starting wide receiver Lovett is out, and a couple of depth defensive pieces as well. So Missouri's missing 2 starting defensive linemen, a starting safety, and a starting wide receiver, and Wake Forest is missing nobody. I don't think it's probably a good time to miss a bunch of defensive players against Sam Hartman and Wake Forest. Wake Forest offense.
Not against Wake.
That's not a good combo. I'm really shocked this line is only 1. I don't understand how it's only one. Going into the matchup, I thought Wake Forest had an advantage no matter what. But I got to like Wake Forest here. With Missouri missing this many guys, Wake Forest has the experienced quarterback, experienced weapons. Nobody's opted out that's really worth a damn on offense. Wake could score 40 here, and I don't think anyone would be surprised. Give me the Demon Deacons. And I like the over.
Lou, is this the okey doke of the week with Wake Forest being just a 1-point favorite?
Yeah, it's one of those weird lines that makes you as a capper go, well, who knows something that I don't. But look, I'm going to give you the opinion loud and proud, and I'm going to agree. There's just too many players of importance. It's not just players opting out. It's
starters.
What is the value of the players that are opting out? And Isaiah McGuire is a huge loss for the Missouri Tigers on that line. Massive. And in more ways than one. And the last thing you want, as you said, to be missing against Wake Forest is your rush and your secondary. And that's exactly where they have problems. I think the Wake Forest quarterback is going to go back there and he's going to be looking around and he's going to make a sandwich and then maybe grab some chips and then look around again, have a couple bites, look around, and then hit somebody for a 30-yard
And then
pass.
Perry's wide open 50 yards down the field.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know where the pass rush is coming from with those players gone, and I don't know who they've got to cover those receivers with those players gone. So again, this is a game that is just decimated by like you said, in the regular season with everybody playing, might be interesting. With this many people missing for Missouri, I think they're in real trouble.
I don't know how to disagree with that. I just this number just stands out as probably being the weirdest number of bowl season right now. I just don't get it. It's almost as this number appears to be like it's a regular season game and that both teams are full strength. That's obviously not the case. I'm worried we're getting the okey doke. My favorite play is going to be the over.
Yeah, the over is my favorite play.
This is a Wake defense that has given up 30 or more in 5 straight. Mizzou never going to be confused with a juggernaut, but they can move the ball down the field. And the majority of opt-outs come on the defensive side. I think they're still going to be able to generate some points. So I like the over. I'm with you guys. I'm steering clear. If Wake does exactly what we think they're going to do and wins by 20, then I'll just be happy to count my money with the over.
I wonder how much of it has to do with SEC bias.
A lot. And I mean, there has to be. If you look for a rational explanation, that has to be something else on the list. That has to be something on the list for sure.
Well, and then that's, I would tell bettors, take advantage of it. If the books are going to overvalue the SEC team because they're an SEC team and they're just going to ignore the fact that they're missing so many players that are important, go cash a ticket.
Now, we're recording this on Wednesday. This game that we're talking about is on Friday night. Would you guys be surprised to see a 2 or 3 point spike here?
No.
Okay.
No.
From what I can gather from the early weather report, it does seem like there's supposed to be double-digit wind. Nothing crazy, somewhere around like 11 to 15. So maybe the argument is Missouri's better on the ground, so they can deal with bad wind more than Wake Forest can. But once again, it's not insane. It's not like it's 30 miles per hour. I think both teams should be able to move the ball. And Wake Forest, I believe historically, has been pretty good in bowl games under Clawson.
Yep. And, I've got this game opened at Wake Forest -2.5. So there's been Mizzou money come in.
It's not you. Maybe it might be other people that went to the school.
This astounds me. So anyway, all right, moving on. Let's take a look at the Saturday action. We've got just one game on this Saturday and no games on Sunday. Why? Because the NFL is playing Saturday and it's Christmas weekend. But we do have one, and it's the Hawaii Bowl. Where are they playing this now that their old stadium is condemned? Did they build them a new stadium, or what do they got over there?
Let me pull up the exact stadium just to read it out.
Well, while you do that,
I believe it was an aircraft carrier at Pearl Harbor last time I checked.
Oh, very good.
Gonna make the kicking game interesting.
This is going to be one team that's really happy to be in Hawaii about now. It's Middle Tennessee State against San Diego State. I don't know. San Diego weather to Hawaii weather, not that big of a upgrade, but
not that big of a difference.
No, it really
isn't. A little more humid in Hawaii.
True. Very true. San Diego State, 7-point favorite. That's where it opens. That's where it's opened. That's pretty much is where it's been stuck. Total's gone down a little bit from 49.5 to 48. I'll tell you what, I don't know about you guys, but this San Diego State team at the end of the season was one of my favorites without not counting the clunker that they had in their Air Force. But this is they kind of found their rhythm on defense again. And
besides that, they found a quarterback.
And they finally found a quarterback to make the offense at least competent. Middle Tennessee State closed well, won 4 of their last 5. But my gosh, I think this is just a difference in conferences for me and the way these teams are playing right now. I'm going to lay the 7 with San Diego State.
I'm going to lay the 7 as well. Middle Tennessee State's dead to me after their final game against Florida International. They were up double digits at the half. I had them to cover, and then they almost blew the game entirely to one of the worst teams in all of FBS. But I also think San Diego State has a random advantage, which is the fact that some of the players on the team have traveled to Hawaii before. I think that actually helps them in this spot. You might see, of course, with these destination bowl games where people were thrilled to go to the Bahamas or go to Hawaii, there's a lot of distractions. Some teams might not be focused on the actual game itself. They're kind of getting distracted by the overall environment. A lot of players in San Diego State have been to Hawaii before because of the conference schedule. So I do think they have an advantage with travel purposes, but I think they're the better team. I'm not a fan of Stockstill. I know that they extended him. They made a bowl game. I get it. I don't think he's a good coach, but I watched them play a couple of times, and I don't think they're a very good team. As you said before, San Diego State found a quarterback towards the end of the year, and they kind of had a solid number of games there. Air Force beat them. Air Force is a good team, but I think San Diego State is the better team. I think they'll look like it. I'll lean to the under, but I do think they have an advantage being in Hawaii before. I kind of wonder if Middle Tennessee will be a bit distracted.
Well, see, and here's what I'm thinking about Middle Tennessee State, and Lou, I'll get your take on this. With the exception, and you look at their numbers, they gave up 274 on the ground to Air Force, but I think that's about 80 below what they were doing for the season. So, and other than that, their rushing defense has been stellar. And if Middle Tennessee can't run the ball, they ain't going to win. And I don't think they can run the ball. Lou, what do you think?
The story of this game for me is the San Diego State defense. They had 7 games this year where they held teams to 14 points or less. And these weren't really lousy teams. They weren't great teams, but they weren't lousy teams. And I don't put Middle Tennessee in the great category. Not quite lousy. They made a bowl game, but I don't put them in great. And the only teams that really put up a bunch of yards and points against San Diego State were really good football teams. So I just don't see how the Blue Raiders are going to move the ball.
Yep, I'm with you. That's always the problem when you play San Diego State is how are you going to move the football? And I just don't see a lot of great options for the Blue Raiders there.
The Blue Raiders wins came over Tennessee State, UTEP, Charlotte, FAU, FIU. And then the early win against the Miami Hurricanes, which shocked everybody at the time because we didn't realize exactly how bad Miami was.
That's right. So yeah, that's not exactly ripping through the top 10 there as far as their.
Well, so just actually look at all those wins. So none of the teams they beat made a bowl game.
Correct.
Did
UTEP?
UTEP make a bowl? You think UTEP's there?
UTEP went 5-7. So they might have gone there, but none of them reached the usual 6-win threshold.
Right.
No.
That's the point.
Everybody else, the Colorado State team that was awful. Tennessee
FIU
State
was close, but they were terrible. But if you want to also look at some coaching numbers, Stockstill historically is 3-6 ATS in bowl games. Brady Hoke, I believe, is usually a very good bowl game coach, isn't he?
Anecdotally, that seems right, but
yeah.
I'm not sure. All right, let's. You got any thoughts on the total? Usually, you have to look at the under with San Diego State. How do you feel at 48? I'm worried about San Diego State putting up too many points.
I was looking at the under. I said under when we started the breakdown, but I don't think Middle Tennessee is going to contribute much, but they do play with a little bit of pace there.
Loud, what do you think about total? Any thoughts?
I'm kind of on the fence here, to be honest.
The problem is I can't. What are the Blue Raiders score? 13, 14?
Yeah, I think anything more than 14 is an outstanding day for
It's
them.
pushing it.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Okay. And and there's no shame in going, hey, I think that's a pretty good number. I think they got it pretty close to right.
I'll lean under as well. I feel like San Diego State's going to do what they always do, which is open up a lead, and even though their quarterback's better than in previous years, they're going to drain a bunch of clock.
Yeah.
That's what they do with Brady Hoke. They'll probably try to go on some massive 7-minute scoreless drive to ice the game. We've seen this movie before. I'll lean to the under. This game might die.
18-play drive that ends in a field goal.
Yep, this game might die. So I'll go with the under.
All right, fair. I can't really get involved with an over with San Diego State defense.
it's a game of death.
Offense isn't that good. All right, let's take a look at Monday night. Or actually, it's probably going to be Monday afternoon. I don't have the time on my schedule, but it's going to be the Quick Lane Bowl, or as it should be called, the Holy Shit, We Really Made a Bowl?
Yeah.
New Mexico State and Bowling Green, a couple of perennial powerhouse programs in their respective conferences. Both of these teams are 6-6 on the year. Yeehaw! Bowling Green currently favored by 3.5. Your total is 49. Scott, I'm going to let you start because somebody has to.
So for this one, first of all, shout out to Valpo for willingly getting buried just so New Mexico State can make a bowl game. Thank you for your sacrifice. I'm going to take New Mexico State money line in this game. Both teams are going to be motivated. Both teams, of course, were kind of shocked to be here. But you look at New Mexico State in the last couple games that they played, they were phenomenal. I can't overlook the fact they beat Liberty by 35. And I know Liberty
hung 49 points on Liberty.
49 points. And yes, I know Liberty had some distractions because their coach already had his bags packed with a month to go in the season. They still scored 49 points against Liberty. And the Liberty defense was pretty good. But you're looking at this New Mexico State team. I think offensively, this team can really give Bowling Green's defense some problems. And I'm looking at Bowling Green. Yes, I know they were in the tougher conference because they were in the MAC. And New Mexico State wasn't in a conference. They were an independent school. But the MAC, as you know what the MAC usually is, a mediocre to slightly below average conference. But New Mexico State played against a lot of good teams at a conference play. They played against a lot of bowl teams, played Minnesota, played Wisconsin, played against Missouri, played against Liberty. They played some bowl teams. And I think that could definitely help them in the actual bowl game because they are battle tested, so to speak. But the offense woke up. They've looked good down the stretch. Jerry Kill's done a hell of a job with this team. I think they got a coaching advantage. Give me New Mexico State on the money line. And I also like the over.
Okay. So you're going to take New Mexico State catching 3 in the hook.
Do you think Bowling Green should really be favored by 3.5 in a bowl game? I don't think so. I'll take the money line.
Well, the MAC traditionally does not perform well in bowl games either. Loud, what say you?
Well, David Delana, who's on Winners and Winers with us, is a graduate of Bowling Green. And he told me at the beginning of the season, Bowling Green sucks. Bowling Green always sucks. So, in honor of David, I'm just going New Mexico State for the outright win. Bowling Green is a bad program. New Mexico State did some good things down the stretch. They seem like the hotter team. Go whatever your mascot is, New Mexico State.
Aggies.
The Aggies, yeah.
Hell of a mustache, though. Hell of a mustache.
Yeah, good mustache.
All right, so you're going to take the money line plus 140.
Money line plus, yeah.
All right. I'm going to go against you guys. I'm going to fade a couple.
Ooh.
I know. Well, this show's no fun if we all just agree on everything.
Oh, the Max bad in bowl
right.
games.
No,
what are you trying to hustle us? Giving us the okie doke here?
Giving you the old okie doke. Well, the MAC is bad in bowl games. You can't get around that. But this is their year, baby. No, I'm going to take the better conference. I'm looking at New Mexico State's, and they have played some bowl games. Some teams that were going to bowls, but they didn't do particularly well. With the victory over Liberty, which I don't know. I think that's just one of those aberrations that you see. A 35-point win is a 24. You and I talked about that on the last video, Scott, whether there was a bigger swing than 59 points line versus
first
actual margin. I don't think there was.
It's a hell of a lightning bet if you
But-
New Mexico State in that game.
But as Loud talked about, who have they beaten? Well, okay. They've beaten Lamar, UMass, New Mexico, Valpo, and Hawaii, besides the Liberty win. So they have played quality schools. They played Wisconsin, lose by 59, and they played Missouri, lose by 31. So I just don't think they're ready for the jump up to the primetime slot. I'll lay the points.
I also will touch upon the fact that New Mexico State might be using a backup quarterback. They've kind of alternated during the season, but Pavia, I might butcher the pronunciation. He might not play, so keep an eye on that. They might be using Frax, but it does seem, according to their head coach, that Pavia should be in the lineup, but keep an eye on it.
Okay. Yeah, good point. All right, guys, let's move on to the next game on your.
Oh, I like the over, by the way.
Like the over in that spot?
47.5.
No, I know.
That just sounds too low because I actually like both quarterbacks. Like McDonald, he's not good against good defenses, but neither team has a good defense. I can see a lot of big plays in this game.
Fair. All right, let's move on to the Camellia Bowl, shall we? This is going to be Georgia Southern at Buffalo, or not, versus Buffalo, rather. Georgia Southern 3.5.
Where is that game being played?
That game is being played in Montgomery, Alabama.
Montgomery, okay. You
And
confused me for a sec. Sorry.
Total. Oh yeah, no. It's total is 66 in this one. Scott, you've got the MAC and you've got the Sun Belt. So under normal circumstances, who do you consider the better conference there?
This year, I think it's actually the Sun Belt. And the Sun Belt's been good this year.
I was setting you up to be tricked because I was saying a normal year you were going to say the MAC, and then I was going to say what about this year?
Mm-hmm.
You just went right to the meat. So
I got places to go, people to see. So I just skipped through all the fluff.
I understand, and I do believe that the Sun Belt was superior to the MAC this year. Was Georgia Southern one of those teams?
They weren't bad.
Okay.
They were okay. I mean, they beat Nebraska, who turned out to be terrible, but still a nice win for the conference. Beat James Madison, who was good earlier this year. They had their moments.
Okay. The Bulls have pretty much made a history of disappointing people in November, and this year was no different as they go 1-3 and 0-4 against the number. Any reason to think that's fixed? Any reason to think that we're going to be back on the right track, Loud?
No. I mean, they lost to Holy Cross earlier in the year. Really? I mean, I just, and then you lose to Kent State? What?
Loud sounds like he had stock in Buffalo.
No, I knew nothing about Buffalo until Khalil Mack came to the Raiders. And as a Raiders fan, I went, oh, who is this guy? So now, every now and then when I see a Buffalo game, I'll tune into it a little bit just because I remember Khalil Mack fondly for the 5 minutes that the Raiders had him. And I just, looking at Buffalo's wins and losses, I can't find any reason to like them in this game.
Okay. Well,
and Georgia Southern scores a ton of points. I mean, they only scored less than 30 like 3 times the whole season. And they can hang 59 or 60 on people. So, warm weather game because it's in the South. And I have no faith in Buffalo. I've got to take Georgia Southern here.
Yeah, I just, and this is a Georgia Southern team that kind of limped to the finish as well. They were 1-3, both straight up and ATS in November. So you've got 2 teams that are really, really playing terrible football right now. I'll take the one that I think is a little more offensively accomplished, as Loud mentioned. I'll go Georgia Southern as well. Scott, is that who you're with? You're with Georgia Southern here on this one?
I'm on Georgia Southern. Both teams needed a nice comeback win to make the bowl game. Georgia Southern won in double overtime against Appalachian. Buffalo was down double digits to Akron and needed to come back in the final minute to actually make a bowl game. I think their coach is atrocious, and I've stated it publicly several times. Clay Helton not bad. I know he didn't work out at USC, but I do think from what I've seen from these teams this season, Georgia Southern has a massive advantage at both head coach and quarterback. And Georgia Southern, not good at stopping the run. Usually Buffalo excels in that area. Held Jared Patterson at 8 rushing touchdowns in a game a couple years ago. But Buffalo only averaged 143.6 rushing yards per game. They really weren't that great on the ground. And I think that Georgia Southern can move the ball with Van Treese. That's right, it's a Van Treese revenge game. That's a fun one.
Yeah, that's right. Van Treese is starting for Georgia Southern now.
Yeah, I forgot that it was a revenge game there. But I like Clay Helton a lot more than I like Buffalo's coach. I think he should be fired. But I'm going to go with Georgia Southern. I think they'll win the game. I'll look at the over, maybe a team total over for Georgia Southern. But I like their offense.
By the way, if you're new to the show or you don't follow Scott on Twitter, Scott has basically called for all 131 division or FBS coaches to be fired at some point.
A couple of exceptions, but Buffalo's coach I've roasted for over a year. Because if you look at what he's done with that program, I'm not going to go on a huge rant here, but Buffalo was the class of the conference. And then they switched coaches, Leipold left. They missed the bowl game last year, and they probably should have missed the bowl game this year. He inherited the best program in the conference. I don't think he's done much to really showcase or improve upon the talent in games. Can we agree on that?
Yeah, that's well, you can't look at their results and disagree. You know,
Yeah.
You can certainly have an opinion, but when it comes down to cold hard facts, like no, there's no case.
I think people were shocked that Georgia Southern made it here because they were a triple option team for a decent portion, and then Clay Helton showed up and they threw the ball for 400 yards a game. So
Yeah.
I think Helton's done a great job of actually making the players better on the roster with coaching. I don't know if Buffalo's coach has done anything.
Well, that's a lot better transition than the one they made at Georgia Tech when they brought the dude in to try to run the pro style.
You weren't a fan of Jeff Collins running a pro system with.
Well, first of all, I mean, but they were able to, like you said, though, Helton was able to do it at Georgia Southern. So it's all about being able to implement the right system with the talent you have.
Quick knowledge, by the way, that Sims was like the perfect triple option quarterback, and they moved out from the triple option for Georgia Tech.
I know.
I'm still salty about that.
I know you are. All right, let's move on, shall we? This is the Serve Pro First Responder Bowl. Utah State and Memphis getting together. This one is going to be played in Gerald R. Ford Stadium in Dallas, Texas. Memphis currently 7.5-point favorite. 60.5 is the total in this one. Man, I don't love this Utah State team at all, but 7.5. It's a ton of points. It really is. I just don't know. I don't have faith really in either one of these defenses. Scott, how do you feel?
So Utah State to go through the opt-outs. By the way, we didn't mention it, but Buffalo's missing a ton of guys, which is why Georgia Southern's favored. We didn't even mention that.
Oh, but you should have mentioned that.
I should have. That's what I'm saying. That's my bad. So I'm not going to make that mistake again. I'll mention the opt-outs here. Utah State's basically fully healthy, except their starting running back is currently out. Tyler Jr. did opt out, so keep an eye on that. Backup is Robert Briggs, who had roughly 700 fewer yards, so keep an eye on that. Memphis, though, if you're looking at their opt-outs, they've had nobody. So Memphis is fully healthy. Utah State's missing their starting running back, but I'm going to take the Aggies plus the points. I just think it's too many. Memphis, I've seen defensively have a lot of trouble this season, and I mean, let's be honest, Memphis has never been a good defensive team for as long as I can remember.
Nope.
So I see points in this game, but Utah State has had to alternate quarterbacks for the entire year, and you're looking at how this team finished the season. They didn't finish it horribly. You can make an argument they should have beaten Boise State. I know that the game, the final score, suggests they got killed, but if you remember the game, Utah State was down 5, I believe, inside of the red zone with like 3 minutes to go. It was a turnover on downs, 90-yard touchdown for Boise State, pick 6 in the span of about 90 seconds. So they almost beat Boise. Like, I don't think this Utah State team's that bad. They won 3 of 4 to end the year. Memphis was a team that really was awful late in games. They had that massive choke job against Houston midway through the year, but Memphis lost 5 of 7. One of their wins was against North Alabama, which doesn't really count. I think that Utah State finished the year a lot better than Memphis did. I'm going to take the points. I think 7.5 is too many. This game has 4 to 7 written all over it for me.
Loud, Utah State's going to struggle to run the football against a pretty good Memphis run defense. Not horrible. Are they going to be able to do that? You like the points here with the Tigers? I mean, with the Aggies.
I bet against the Aggies a lot this season and did well. And Memphis, I don't follow them as closely, but they give up 30 points almost every game, 30 plus. And it just seems like to nobody's, to to Arkansas State 32, North Texas 34, South Florida 33, Temple 29, UCF 49.
It's a standard
SMU
Memphis team
30.
where they rely on Hannigan and the offense to pretty much carry them to wins because they can't stop anybody.
All right.
So, yeah, I'm going to have to go to the team that's getting the points because I don't think you have a defense on the other side that is going to be able to stop the other team. So they're going to have to outscore them, which leads me to give me the points and give me the over.
I was shocked it was more than a touchdown. Like, I saw this matchup. I don't know how much Tyler's worth. I'm assuming probably 2 points or so because he's so much better than the backup running back. When I saw this matchup, I figured Memphis 4.5, 4, 7.5 was shocking to me.
It does seem a little rich. That the anything more than a touchdown seems a little high. My favorite play on this, I think, is going to have to be the over.
Yeah.
This is a Utah State defense. We talk about the Memphis defense, but this is a Utah State defense that gave up 107 points, almost 36 points a game to Boise, San Jose State, and Hawaii. So you've got some issues if you're giving up 31 to San Jose State, 34 to Hawaii. I'm going to play the over here. I'm going to lean Utah State. I'm gobbling up those points. I have to do it. All right, very good. Are you guys both on solidly on the over train there?
This game's going to be like watching a four-way stop sign in the deep south. No, you go. No, you go. No, you go ahead. No,
I insist. I insist. You go.
You go ahead. Yeah, it's just up and down because neither team can stop either one.
Solid analogy, sir. All right. Well, let's move right along on our schedule. Head back to Birmingham as the Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl gets underway. This is going to be the East Carolina Pirates against the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. Scott, the guy we've been watching for the last 4 seasons, finally has entered the transfer portal. Our old buddy Grayson McCall will not be available for this one. That explains the 9.5 point spread. Question is the spread correct now?
Well, I actually want confirmation he's not going to play because McCall, who ended up transferring, he indicated he would play in the bowl game before actually leaving. Is he out?
Well, let me see what I've got. Do you have any? You're looking at the same list that I am.
I thought he was playing.
Is he? All right, now I'm gonna Google it while you talk. Go ahead.
So I thought he was playing, but either way, to go through the other news here.
So talk about who he is and what kind of player he is and why he matters, please.
Grayson McCall,
yeah.
He's probably the best quarterback in the entire conference. I know he's Steen's favorite player in college, but he's a tremendous dual threat quarterback who's been really just the heart and soul of this team, not even just as a player, but as a leader for the overall locker room. And if he's there, there's definitely going to be a boost. Having said that, you're looking at Coastal still missing a bunch of pieces. Going to be missing starting center Lampkin, who was a first-team all-conference guy, missing defensive end Stewart, and they're going to be missing cornerback Stokes Jr. Besides that, their coach jumped ship. Chadwell will not be there for the bowl game. Tim Beck took over for Coastal, and defensive coordinator Staggs will be the interim. So the line movement, I think, is mostly based on the transfer portals that were guys that were not McCall. McCall is also banged up to end the year, so I'm not sure how truly healthy he is. They also just don't have a head coach. They're using an interim, which definitely doesn't help. East Carolina is the much better team. I think this team is very solid. Mike Houston's been very good ATS in bowl games before. They had a couple opt-outs. Starting tight end Jones opted out, and starting center Jones opted out is in the transfer portal as well. Do I think McCall can create enough magic to get them to cover? That's really the question here. I don't think so.
He is playing, by the way.
I thought so, but he played the last game against Troy. He rushed back. They got buried. Coastal really fell off a cliff to end the year. James Madison beat them by, 90? And then Troy beat them by what could have been 90 if they actually kept trying. I think I'm going to take East Carolina. They have pretty much their whole roster. Aylords is also a pretty underrated quarterback, so I like the over. I see a lot of points. But Coastal got buried, especially on the defensive end, the defensive side of the ball to end the season. I think I'm taking East Carolina.
All right.
But I like the over. I see a lot of points in this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on the over. Loud 9.5. That's a lot of points. Is that the right number? Or excuse me, 7.5. Do you still think there's value on East Carolina here?
That line's moved.
Yeah,
2 points.
Yep. It was 9.5, and it now is 7.5. Sorry.
Well, how many points do you think Chadwell's worth? Because we've stated publicly we think he's the best coach in the conference.
Yeah, I don't understand the move to Liberty. I got to be honest with you.
It doesn't seem like much of an upgrade to me.
I was gonna say, yeah, I don't know that that's really that much of an upgrade, but
maybe he's a religious guy. I don't know.
You don't know. So
he likes the Bibberty.
60.5 is the number, or excuse me, 63.5 is the number. It's just so tall. My question about this whole game is how healthy is McCall? Because he was banged up. He went in and gave it a shot against Troy, put up 320. Still had
It was pretty much all garbage time. They were down 20-0 basically in the first 10 minutes of the game. So
yeah, and taking away the aspect of him being able to run the football, I think is huge. So, man, I just don't know that I have that much confidence in East Carolina. I'm going to lean Coastal here, but I'm on the over train with you as well.
I'm just going to fade that Coastal defense.
The defense has been awful. That's really what gives me the biggest pause. So.
And they're missing the starting center, and that's a big deal. You might see a couple bad exchanges. That could be a problem. But
100% true. Well, in most cases, the center is going to make all your line calls too. It's going to make all your blocking calls, and that's a huge factor. Even at the college ranks. So, all right, Scott. Well, we had to talk about my school, and now we got.
What does Loud think about the game?
Oh, I thought I didn't know that I missed. I thought we did that before. Go ahead.
I'm just going to lean towards taking points. I think both these teams have issues. One is a little better than the other, but I don't have a strong enough read here. And when that's the case with me, I'm going to lean towards taking the more than touchdown in points and hoping for the best.
All right. Okay. Solid. All right, Scott. Well, now we got to talk about your school, buddy. The Guaranteed Rate Bowl.
Oh, boy.
Man.
I prefer the Duke Mayo.
Two teams I couldn't be. At least I'm excited to see Wake Forest play. Okay. I'm not excited to see half a Mizzou team play, but I'm excited about seeing Wake Forest. I could find no reason to get excited about this game. Oklahoma State and the Wisconsin Badgers. Wisconsin was a 2.5-point favorite. That number's gone to 3.5, and the total has stayed absolutely glued at 43. Scott, are your Badgers 3.5 points better than Oklahoma State?
Both teams are going to be missing about half of their players, so no. I like Oklahoma State in this game. First of all, to go through the actual opt-outs here. Wisconsin. We know that their defense is their bread and butter. This year, a little bit weaker than usual, but still a good unit. To go through Wisconsin, missing Benton, Herbig. Herbig's a very underrated linebacker. I think he'll be good at the next level. You have Shaw, starting corner, Clark, another corner, and they're missing their left guard. For the transfer portal, Mertz is gone. Their starting center is gone. Missing another offensive tackle. Missing a depth wide receiver. Missing their kick returner. Missing another corner. They're missing everybody. And they also don't have a coach. Because they have Jim Leonard, who is coaching the bowl game, even though he announced he's jumping ship after the season. So I don't know what motivation you have to play for him. Oklahoma State, this team isn't good by any means. You're looking at who's opting out. Starting defensive ends Martin and Lacey are out. Defensive tackle Evers is out, but he hasn't played for a couple of months at this point. Spencer Sanders entered the portal. Richardson, the starting running back, entered the portal. Starting linebacker Cobb, starting defensive end Ford. They're opted out too. So Oklahoma State basically has no defensive line in this game, but Wisconsin doesn't have a great defensive line either. You're looking at either Gundy or Rangel at quarterback, but Gundy is 11-5. The coach I'm talking about in bowl games ATS. At least Oklahoma State has a quarterback, kinda. You're going to use Wolf at quarterback for Wisconsin. I've seen him play. He stinks. I mean, you're going to have to rely on the ground game, and you're hoping that they can get it done. But they're missing a bunch of pieces for both sides. I'm going to go with Oklahoma State. I like this team more. Wisconsin with Leonard. We've seen Leonard as an interim coach. Did you think he was good? No.
Didn't get too excited.
If he was good, they wouldn't have gone out and gotten Fickle. Let's put it that way. So I like Gundy more as a coach. I think this game will be disgusting. I love the under. I see like a 17-13 game. It's like watching paint dry. But give me the team with the experienced coach in bowl games. I'll take Gundy.
All right. Loud, no quarterback. No starting quarterback on either side. One side missing starting running back. Everybody's down defensive players, receivers. What are we doing here, buddy? What do you got?
Oklahoma's got more depth as far as talent. Physical talent, Oklahoma, they've got more, and they've got the better coach. So that's my pick.
Okay, fair. I'm on Oklahoma
It's
State
plus
as well.
money. I'm not laying more than a field goal with Wisconsin with a second or third string corner who stinks, by the way. I've seen Wolf play. And once again, both teams are missing a lot of guys, but Wisconsin offensively stunk to begin with. So why would I lay more than 3.5 if Wisconsin can never score?
Well, both of these teams are similar in that they're missing their starting quarterbacks, and neither starting quarterback was very good.
But I think Oklahoma State's backup is better than Wisconsin's. And Sanders had moments, but still.
Right.
Good money. Do you want to lay 3.5 with Wisconsin? I'll take the plus money.
No, I have to take the plus money there and the under as well. You know, and like you said, Dominic Richards is not playing for Oklahoma State. Average 3.6 yards to carry.
That's the weird part. He got a bunch of carries and he never really did anything with them, but he was a touchdown magnet.
Yeah. Yeah. Eight touchdowns on the season on the ground. So, all right. Very good. What else we got here? This is going to be moving on to Wednesday's action for those of you that are keeping track. So the good news is we're on our last day, boys. Bad news is about 30 games today. So this is going to be UCF and Duke in the Military Bowl. Well, that's sad that they couldn't get any military teams to play. Right now, the line on this one has Duke as a 3-point favorite. That's gone from 1 to 3.
Why didn't Army get a bowl game?
Are they 5 and 7?
No, I thought they won their 6th when they beat Navy.
That's a great question.
I don't know. It might have been after they announced the games, but you mentioned it's the Military Bowl. Army did reach 6 wins. They might have played an extra game, but I think they reached 6 wins.
Huh.
Didn't they?
I thought they did. I thought they did too, buddy. I really did.
I was rooting for Army in that game against Navy solely because I wanted them to make a bowl to reach 6 wins. Yeah, they finished 6-6. I don't know why Army's not here.
Oh, well, I've got him in the Lockheed Martin. No, that's not right.
No, that's Air Force.
That's Air Force, yeah.
No, Army just doesn't have a bowl game.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand.
It's weird. I don't know.
Oh, no,
they signed the dotted line before Army won their 6th, I guess, but still weird.
Well, yeah, considering they made up a bowl last year because everybody that was eligible didn't get to play, and they've taken 5 and 7 teams in this year, so I don't know.
Whatever.
All right. So, be that as it may, it's going to be Duke. It's going to be Central Florida. I guess the question for this one really has to be, can
Plumlee play?
Well, that I was going to say, can Duke stop the run? The rush defense has been really good all season, and you're going to have to be able to stop the run if you want to stop Central Florida. Scott, what do you got on this one?
So Duke is missing nobody. No opt-outs, no transfer portal guys. All the coaches are still there. You're looking at Central Florida, not so much. So Central Florida, we mentioned that Plumlee was limited in the conference title game. If he can play third-string quarterback Castellanos, would be starter because Keene entered the portal. So they might be using a third-string quarterback because their backup jumped ship. But to go through the transfer portal updates, they're missing their starting corner, Brown, missing their starting linebacker, John Baptiste, missing Keene, missing O'Keefe, who's one of their best wide receivers. I'm on Duke. I don't think Central Florida really wants to be there. And the fact that they might be using a third stringer, I think is going to be a serious problem. Duke's been good all year. They've been good against the run. And I think Leonard's an underrated quarterback. I'll take Duke.
Yeah, I'm on Duke also. They're the more disciplined team. They have most of their core nucleus that has been together all season, whereas the other side looks like Chernobyl. And I think they're just going to have problems. You put a third-string quarterback in there, you're looking at false starts, you're looking at misreads, you're looking at bad communication, and I just think it's going to be too much. The Duke Blue Devils win this game easily, in my opinion.
Even if Plumlee plays, I don't know how long he's going to play. He showed up for a couple series there against Tulane, and then he just couldn't play anymore. He's kind of been banged up for a month or so. I'm not sure if he's going to suit up or not, but do you want to make a stance with Malzahn getting points, missing decent amount of supporting cast, and maybe a third stringer against a team that's missing nobody? Because I don't.
Just can't do it. All right. So next is going to be.
I'm going to lean under, by the way.
Oh, you want to go under there?
I can't take an over with one team potentially using a third-string quarterback. And Duke's good against the run. I don't think UCF's going to contribute much.
No, both these teams want to run the football. So, Loud, you got an opinion on the total?
No, I'm going to stay away from the total. I just like Duke to win here.
Fair. All right.
62.5, though, with a potential third stringer. Just sounds way too high to me.
Yeah, it seems too much, but I'm just going to I'll pass on the over-under. Thank you very much.
It's the battle of the Kansases in this one. Regular Kansas versus Arkansas as the Jayhawks and Hogs square off there in Memphis. Arkansas, 2-point favorites, and the total in this one is 69.5. Not a lot of change in this one. It has come down a little bit, opened at 368.5. Is there any defense that played worse down the stretch than this KU defense? My God. I don't know how you can get behind.
I mean, if you want to include FCS, Fordham.
Fair. This is a game. This has actually been bet down, like we said too. There's been some Kansas money coming in. Scott, do you agree with that Kansas money?
I understand it. Because Kansas is obviously motivated to be here because nobody thought they'd make a bowl game. And as a result, a lot of the main core guys are still there. Might be missing their wide receiver and Arnold, who's injured. So we'll see what happens there. Arkansas, missing a decent amount of guys. KJ Jefferson is returning to school, so they do have their quarterback back. But to go through the opt-outs, starting linebacker Sanders is out. Starting linebacker Poole is out. Still one of my favorite names, by the way, Bumper Poole, but he's not going to play. Yeah. Wide receiver.
They did a story on that. Did you see it, by the way? They did a little segment.
I don't know if I saw the story, but I definitely know that I know who he is, but I forgot the story itself.
His dad was literally a big fan of Bumper Pool.
Nice.
I swear to God. So,
cool. Yes. But Hazelwood's going to be out, who's one of their best wide receivers, and their starting center, Stromberg, is out. Also, starting tight end Knox opted out. Defensive back Slusher opted out. Starting wide receiver Jackson opted out. And their second quarterback, Hornsby, who can't throw to save his life, is also in the transfer portal. But I guess the question is, can Jefferson do enough on his own to just outscore Kansas? Because he's missing a bunch of guys on both sides of the ball. I think I'm actually leaning Kansas. This defense stinks. Don't get me wrong. They played a lot of ranked teams to end the year. They had a pretty tough schedule to wrap up. I think Kansas wants to be there, and Arkansas. I don't know. Arkansas is going to be motivated when half of your team, besides your starting quarterback, basically opted out. Pittman, I like as a coach. Arkansas has left a lot to be desired. Missouri moved the ball pretty well against them. I like the over. Give me a bunch of points. Give me Kansas in a track meet. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, that's my my pick on this one is the over as well. This is a Kansas defense to give up 35 or better in 6 of their last 7. Oklahoma State was the only exception to that rule.
Total 69.
I mean,
it's the highest total, isn't it, of all ball games?
Yeah, I don't remember any 70s. So yeah, I'm over here. Loud, what do you got? Help sort
What's
us
the
out.
latest? What's the latest points line?
The latest
2 or 2.5.
2 and 69.5.
Actually, I
Who's
see a
catching-
3 out there. I see a 3 for Kansas on DraftKings.
Okay.
I'll take the 3.
All right. Loud, you're grabbing Kansas in the points with his
No,
defense.
KJ Jefferson is just a freak.
Mm-hmm.
And there's enough talent there still at Arkansas that I think if you look at how many points this Kansas defense gives up, I mean, Kansas would be the girl everybody would want to date in high school. I'm just saying. And yeah, I see Arkansas. KJ Jefferson is going to be able to put up a lot of points. And Arkansas still missing some key players. They're still going to be tough on defense. They're a big physical team. I'm sure they have some at least capable backups. And I just like Arkansas to win this game. I just think they're a better team than Kansas, even with the missing pieces.
As long as you've got KJ Jefferson. See, here's my thing. I think at this point in their development, I think there's a good chance that Arkansas second stringers are better than most.
Right, might be. Right.
You got a big SEC school like that against a team that's just kind of finding their footing again. So I'm gonna go Arkansas, but yeah, I think we're all on the over.
I originally liked Arkansas before we broke it down, but as I looked at all the opt-outs and everything, my general rule is to fade the team missing a bunch of players against the team that's not missing many players. I'm going to stick with it. I understand your point, though, but I'm hoping motivation can carry Kansas. And Leipold, I think, is also capable of getting the most out of his players.
See, I don't disagree with that, but I always wonder about the motivation of teams that are just feel fortunate to make a bowl game. Is it about the journey or is it about the destination? Have they already gotten the big payoff because they made a bowl game, or do they have motivation to win it? That's always my question.
I think based on how awful Kansas was down the stretch of the season, they should be motivated because they haven't won a game in over a month.
That's fair. That's very fair. All right. Next game up on our slate, San Diego County Credit Union Holiday Bowl. Holiday Bowl. It's going to be North Carolina and Oregoni as they tangle out there in San Diego. Number on this one is North Carolina as a 14.5 point underdog. Oh, there's a number that's higher, Scott. We had to just be patient till we get to it. 74.5 is the number. Scott, 14.5. Is North Carolina really that bad? Who's missing? Sounds like some people are missing.
So surprisingly, their quarterback is not missing. Drake May will play in this game. There's been some scandal or reports that some other teams might have offered him $5 million to transfer to their school, but he ended up staying put. They are going to be missing their best wide receiver in Josh Downs, who should end up being, I'd say, a day 2 NFL draft pick. Would you agree with that?
That sounds about right, yeah.
But the point is he's been very good all year. They're missing their starting corner in Grimes, starting safety in Kelly, starting corner in Duck. Great name, by the way, Storm Duck. Shout out to him. Missing their offensive coordinator in Longo, who took the same job at Wisconsin. Oregon had big news as they ended up being told that Bo Nix is actually coming back next year. So Nix will be there. They are going to be missing starting corner Gonzalez and starting defensive end Johnson. For transfer portal, missing some depth wide receivers and running backs. Nobody really worth a damn. You are wondering if Nix will be banged up, but he will be there. However, the Ducks will also be missing their offensive coordinator as Dillingham took the head coaching job at Arizona State. North Carolina's defense was god-awful, and now they're missing about half of their starting secondary. Maybe the backups are better than the starters because that's how bad the starters were. Oregon should bury this team, but I like the under. I understand the pace should be up-tempo. Both teams missing offensive coordinators and the total still in the mid-70s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to lean under. I know it's scary as hell because North Carolina could give up 50. I get it. But I'm going to lean under. For the side, I got nothing here. I guess I'm leaning North Carolina on principle.
Right.
But this team stunk to finish the year out. They got killed by everybody. They lost to Georgia Tech. It's been rough for North Carolina to end the year. I think
What
I'm just
was
going
that? Did they have a bunch of injuries at the end of the season or something?
I think they were just
what went
bad.
on there? Just bad.
They're just
Yeah,
bad. But
the
Clemson beat them by 90 in the title game because they stopped using DJ, and Klubnik killed them. But I think I'm going to go with the under. There's no way I'm playing this, but missing offensive coordinators on both sides, total of 74.5.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go with the under.
And a team total of around 44 for Oregon in this game.
Yeah.
I can't get involved with that.
There are so many pieces missing, and being a Washington resident, I want to hate the Ducks. It's just instinctive that you want to hate the Ducks and bet against them. But with Nix coming back and he's playing in this game, and man,
still banged up probably. But I think Downs being out for North Carolina is huge.
Yeah, I can't find a reason to love North Carolina, and I can't find a reason to hate Oregon enough. So this is a pass for me.
I think it's a pass too, but I guess I'm leaning under. Because even if Oregon scores 45, you still need like 30 from North Carolina without their star wide receiver.
Yeah.
You gotta feel like one of those offenses is going to underperform without.
I think it's North Carolina
without their coordinator. So, all right, yeah, I've got to take the points just on principle. With
if Oregon wins this game by 30, I would not be surprised. But I agree with you on principle. 14.5 with a banged up quarterback is a little bit large.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Finally, I hold in my hand the last. This is going to be
Ole Miss, Texas Tech.
Tax Act Texas Bowl. Tax Act. Ole Miss, Texas Tech. Line on this one currently sits Mississippi by 3, 69.5. Man, it's going to be points. I'd like to play the over under on points for the games Wednesday, as our totals have been 62, 69.5 twice, and 74.5. So 250 points over under for those 4 games.
Give or take.
Okay.
Gonna be some scoring on Wednesday. Gonna be some scoring
for sure. Scott, who's missing for this one?
So Ole Miss is missing virtually nobody worth a damn. They're going to be missing a cornerback Battle who played 322 snaps, not much. Backup quarterback's out, and they're missing a depth defensive lineman. As for Texas Tech, you are looking at what similar story here. Missing a third-string quarterback and their starting safety. So I guess Texas Tech's missing more, but as of right now, show is expected to start, so we'll see what happens there. But the big surprise for this game is that despite all the rumors of Lane Kiffin going to Auburn, he's still there, and Auburn ended up hiring Hugh Freeze. So really not many people missing in this game. Texas Tech, though, has been good at home. They've been bad everywhere else. So that's kind of the concern. They have not traveled well this season. Ole Miss, I don't like Dart as a quarterback. I like their wide receivers. I like the running backs. I think they're good enough. I'll lean Ole Miss. I just think they have more talent.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going Ole Miss here, minus the points. I think they just are the better team. That up-tempo offense, Lane Kiffin will have them ready to play. And Texas Tech, I just don't trust them. Yeah, they had some good wins, but they had some bad losses, and I just think Ole Miss is going to be better in this game. Ole Miss kind of got
all their
lost.
Good wins were at home for Texas Tech.
And Ole Miss got lost a little bit in the middle of the season, but they put it together back at the end, and I think they're rolling, and I like Ole Miss in this game minus 3.
Yeah, I just can't. This is an Ole Miss team that's lost 4 of their last 5, failed to cover 4 of their last 5. I'll tell you what.
Game is in Houston, by the way, so you might have a Red Raider crowd there, but it's in a neutral technically, so we'll see. But it's in a dome, so if you want the over, weather's not going to be an issue at all.
Yeah, I'm probably, although they've made these totals almost unplayable at 69.5. But Texas Tech goes fast. They're the fastest paced team in the country.
And the other side is Lane Kiffin.
And the other side is Lane
Right.
Kiffin, right? So
Right.
it's hard. It's hard not to play. It's put it this way: I may not play the over, but there's no way I'm getting involved with the under.
But the Rebels did play some defense this year.
You're right. You're right. And Texas Tech has shown themselves to be a team that can be stopped. They run a lot of plays. Their EPA isn't necessarily very good. They're not a strong team, but they want to throw the ball is what they're going to want to do. So
Do you think there's a spark involved for Ole Miss? Well, I'm sure some of the players thought Kiffin would have been off the team
With
by
Kiffin
now.
staying,
Yeah.
and getting extended.
I got to assume that provides some type of emotional boost because he recruited half of these guys.
yeah, you're right. Let me ask you this, Loud. Why couldn't Ole Miss run for anything basically in the Egg Bowl there? Because that was just absolutely dreadful. They ran the ball 39 times for 78 yards. So they were not able to get anything done as far as the ground game goes.
Which, of course, everybody thinks of Lane Kiffin. He must, throw the ball all over the place. No,
Right.
That's not exactly true.
Nope, not with this
He
team.
likes to run the ball.
Yes.
I don't know. I can't explain it. Rivalry game. Mississippi just put up a really strong effort. That happens in rivalry games. So I'm going to chalk it up to that and not a system failure or, they've got them figured out. No. I just think it's an aberration in a rivalry game, and I think they'll be back to running the ball pretty effectively against Texas Tech.
I don't think it needs to be said. Weird things happen in the Egg Bowl.
No, that's definitely
True.
I think that one of my favorite stat lines of the season was in Ole Miss's game against Arkansas. As they combined, they ran for 463 yards and they passed for 240. So 703 total offense. Lose the game by 15.
Mhm.
That's impressive. That's a nice effort
Yes.
right there, boys.
Yeah.
I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to take the Red Raiders here. This is a Red Raiders team that finished the season running through the tape. They won and covered their last three. Now, granted, it wasn't outstanding competition as they played Oklahoma, Iowa State, and Kansas. But I think this Ole Miss team, if you can stop them from running the football, you can stop this team. And I think that Texas Tech has a decent shot of that. And I think the pace, giving it right back to Ole Miss, I think that's going to be the difference in this one. I'll take Texas Tech. Lean over. Scott, you got Ole Miss here?
Yeah, I got Ole Miss. I think the total's interesting because Ole Miss wants to run it, but the pace is going to be crazy. I think I have to take the over, but I'm not a fan of Dart, but I'm not a fan of Show either.
Okay.
So I feel like the quarterbacks aren't great, but I know Ole Miss can run the ball well,
Right.
and that's good enough for me.
Yeah, they get that running game going downhill. It's going to be a long night for the Raiders, no question. And Loud, you've got Ole Miss here as well. Loud.
Yes, yes, I do. Sorry.
All
When I'm
right,
shuffling papers around, I mute myself so I don't get so the sound doesn't affect you.
no problem, buddy. I've just been sitting at the drive-through for a minute. I appreciate you seeing me.
Yeah.
All right, that's it, guys. 13 bowl games in how long did it take us? Okay, all right, hour 15. We were shooting for 5 minutes per game. We got pretty darn close. So, as always, appreciate you guys watching. And come back and see us. We'll be doing another breakdown of the next series of bowl games, and then we're going to be doing one for the playoffs. So
Playoffs.
Playoffs?
And Scott, we're going to do a live broadcast again for the national championship this year.
If you want to, I guess.
Oh, it was so boring last year, but fun.
I mean, they had no touchdowns for about 2 quarters. So
That's what I'm saying.
good stories, though.
Hey, Loud, thanks for coming in, man. I appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
All right, buddy. Good luck to everybody, and good luck to you all. Thank you very much for watching. I hope all of your plays are winners. Stay warm out there, man. Got some weather coming in, so make sure you guys stay warm. Put another log on the fire, and get that remote control. Make sure you got the batteries changed because you're going to be using it a lot here coming up. All right, guys.
Happy holidays.
What's that?
Happy holidays.
And again, happy holidays to
Merry
everybody.
Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
There you go. You guys have a great one. We'll see you. We'll see you next week. We'll talk about the New Year's games, and we'll. It's getting good. It's getting good, boys. All right, we'll see you then. You guys take care. Thanks for watching. Hey, don't forget to like and subscribe. You made it all the way through at the end. Please like and subscribe. All right. You guys have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.